Petitioner, we just have a few more questions before we play that then. Ms. Raymond, have you observed any medical conditions in the last 6 months on the children when they return from visits at their father's home?
They come home with bags of medicine. I don't know why. I don't know what illnesses or who's taking them to the doctor, or the fact that they've been to the doctor. He doesn't confirm with me regarding anything. Nothing. My son, Naveed, has sensitive skin, but ironically, every single time he returns from a visit, he's completely busted out in a rash. He has it today. He's always in a rash every single time. I don't know what products they're using. I don't know what he's eating. He has a peanut allergy. I don't know if perhaps, I would imagine they're not giving him peanuts, but maybe something that's, related.
Do you have any idea what's causing these types of medical conditions in the boys?
I don't know what's going on.
When they leave your home prior to that visit, are they taking any medications?
They're not sick. They don't have rashes. They're not being met at a hospital when I go pick them up.
Did you ever interact with one of Mr. Raymond's house managers that had any sort of alcohol or drug problems?
I only object to the time frame, Your Honor. If this is last 6 months, no objection.
In the past 6 months,
yes.
Have you? Okay.
The man that was let go, the house manager, that was within 6 months.
Did you observe him smelling of alcohol?
I could smell it.
And was he around the children at that time?
He's always around the children. They knew him well. We went over there for Halloween, and he was let go, I think, probably in January. So, well, it's not 6 months. So we're in July or August.
You'd observed it in 2013?
In 2013, however.
Okay. But he had been around the children?
He's around the children. He was a house manager. He lived in the guest house.
Okay. What types of things did he do with the children, if you know, that you actually observed him doing with the children?
I mean, he just kind of would, escort them to different rooms and things like that. When I was there, like I said, it was Halloween, they, were interacting with him.
To your knowledge, was he ever left alone with the children?
I don't know.
Okay. Can you tell me how Naveed was when he arrived at the hospital? What his mood or his behavior was?
Relieved to see me.
Did he appear to be upset?
Just a little shook, he looked unnerved.
Okay. And tell me about what happened with little Usher last night at the hospital.
At about 2 in the morning, his blood pressure, or his heart rate, it dropped to a dangerous low. It got to in the 50s.
Okay. Did you make contact with Mr. Raymond?
I sent him an email.
So he was not at the hospital at that time?
No.
Okay. Did he answer you?
No.
Did he come to the hospital?
No.
What did you observe being done to your son last night?
I sent Mr. Raymond an email and told him that they were going to have to do an emergency EKG on Usher because his heart rate had stopped, or had really slowed, and that they deemed it an emergency. Everybody was running around because his heart had slowed all the way down, and he did not respond, nor did he call back, nor did he answer.
Okay, about what time was that?
That was probably about 1:45 in the morning.
What time did you leave the hospital this morning?
I left at 9:45.
Okay. Did you see Mr. Raymond between
No.
that time and this morning?
No. No mornings since my son's been there have I seen him that early.
The children are about to start school next week, is that right?
They're scheduled to start on Monday.
Do you have any idea who will be driving the children to school?
I don't have any idea who's driving them to school because he said he doesn't have a nanny anymore, which I didn't know until yesterday. I didn't even know what school they were going to until very recently. Another parent told me that they had been enrolled at a different school.
Okay. do you have any way to get in contact with your children on a daily basis if they're not in your custody if Mr. Raymond's out of town?
It's a game of cat and mouse.
But do you have a contact number?
No. I did get the number to his residence, what I assume is his number, the day of our hearing last week. But he had been in the house since, I guess, May.
Okay. And how often have you been at the hospital since Usher was admitted?
I left this morning for the first time at 9:45.
Okay. Judge, we'd like to go ahead and play that recording now.
Go ahead.
I need the ambulance. What's the address? 29. Is this a house or apartment? Huh? Is this a house or apartment? It's a house. Okay, hold one moment for Grady. How do you get your, what do you?
Lady Ann, what's the status of your emergency?
Yes, I have. My nephew was in the pool, and he went. I couldn't get him in. I couldn't get him. I tried to get him, and they got him out there doing CPR on him.
Okay, then what's the address? Okay, stay with me, okay? Phone number you're calling from in case we're disconnected. Stay with me, okay? What's your name?
Raina Oldest. Raina Oldest.
Okay.
Hey.
Raina, how old are you?
Hey, go in.
Okay, you said someone who's doing CPR on him.
I didn't hear you.
Who is doing CPR on him?
Yes, they're doing CPR on him now.
Okay.
Come here, Naveed, come here.
Stay with me.
Okay. They trying to get, is he coming around?
How old is he?
He's 5 years old.
Okay, stay with me. Is he awake?
Huh?
Is he breathing?
Is he breathing? He's breathing, yes ma'am.
Okay, stay with me.
They need to hear that, huh?
Where is he now?
He's on the side of the pool.
Does he have any injuries?
No, not that we know of. Please, Harry.
Okay, they're already on the way. State Atlanta Fire, please.
Huh?
I'm operator 619-792. I'm sorry, what's your address?
What you need now?
Go ahead, Grady. I'm 792. You said you were 6197.
614 area code.
I got it. Okay, no. Miss Raina, I got you. I got your phone number.
Okay.
Phone for me, okay? Some instructions. Thank you, Atlanta. Just go ahead and set fire for me.
Okay.
And PD.
Okay. Naveed.
All right. Miss Raina.
Yeah. Come here, Naveed.
10 minutes to help you. Stand line. I'll say what's
Naveed, come here.
All
Hold
right.
on, please. Okay. Come here.
Hello?
Yes.
Miss Raina, stay with me, okay?
Okay. Sit down for a minute, please.
Stay on the line, okay?
Okay, sit right there. Be quiet.
Watch it very closely and look for any changes. Is he breathing?
Is he breathing? He's breathing.
Okay. All right. Stay with me. All right. If he becomes less awake and starts to get worse, tell me immediately. Where is he
Okay,
right now?
the ambulance is here. Hello?
Is that the fire department or EMS?
It's the EMS. Come here, Naveed.
You ready?
Naveed, come here.
All right. Are they with him right now?
They hadn't got in yet. They're on their way.
You sitting in front of the house?
Yes. Naveed.
They just pulled up?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to stay on the line with you until they get right with him. Are they still doing CPR?
They out there with him right now. He's on the, open up the door, Naveed. Open the door. He's not faking. Come here, get a towel.
Let me know when they get right with him.
Come here, Naveed, come here. I'm sorry, ma'am.
It's okay. Stay with me. I need you to take a deep breath to us. Things can happen in a matter of seconds. Okay, you try to take me.
Is he okay?
Gonna be okay.
He's breathing.
He's breathing. EMS is there. Did they come in the door yet?
Have they came in the door yet? Is somebody? I can't see nobody.
You said you saw the truck pulling up.
The truck is in here, but I don't see nobody yet.
Okay.
Can you
Did
please hurry?
back of the house, or they coming through that?
They coming through the front right now.
Okay, they coming through the gate.
Yeah, they in the gate now. They get ready to come in.
Communication dentist.
Television, CAD 4114, a 5-year-old, in the pool. He's breathing now, but he drowned, but he's breathing now.
Wonderful. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Now, Miss Raymond, on that recording that I'm sure was very difficult for you to listen to, is that the type of response that you get from Naveed when you tell him to come here?
No.
No, I mean, that is just so far afield. It's absurd.
Your Honor, it goes to the issue of whether or not she has control of these children. Do you believe that Aunt Raina has the control of the children that's necessary to ensure their safety?
Okay. I don't believe she has any control. I don't believe she has any control over the kids. I don't know if this is considered hearsay, but if he jumped into the pool, he could barely swim. That could have been a double tragedy, a double drowning.
And based on what Mr. Raymond has told you, did Aunt Raina get in the pool?
He said she got in the pool, but he wasn't home.
Okay, but did he tell you that she got in the pool?
Yes, he did.
When you got to the hospital, did Aunt Raina look like someone who had been in a pool?
Her hair didn't, but she came 2 hours later, unless she went and got it done. I don't know.
Okay. Now, when your nanny interacts with, do you have a nanny?
I do.
When she interacts with Usher and Naveed, does it ever require 10 times for them to listen to her?
My nanny doesn't yell at them. My kids don't disobey her. That whole scene just was chaos. That was chaos. And I'm wondering, my question is, if she does CPR and she has all this experience, why was she on the phone and not administering CPR to her nephew, my child? And then one screaming in the background, why is my child being told to open the door? It just was chaos, pure chaos. And I would like to say this. This is not against Aunt Raina, because I'm thankful that my son is alive. And I think she is a good person and a nice family member. A nanny? No. I said this from day one. I've said this for over a year. And this was a near-death experience. This is not something that we can say a so-called emergency, as Usher's attorney called it. This is a real emergency. I don't know if my son is going to have a brain defect. I don't know that his heart is operating correctly. I don't know that my son is going to be 100% the boy he was that before this incident. I don't know that. I have no proof of that. And to say it's a so-called emergency, it is a very much an emergency. Very much so. The fact that Naveed, who barely swims, was trying to be brave to jump in the water after his brother, Usher, the father, my child, and the videotape at his house proves that Naveed did it. Naveed told me he did it. He jumped into 8 feet of water. He can't even swim. He was trying to save his brother.
So
That's chaos.
So if Naveed jumped into the pool,
That is chaos.
Okay, all right.
That is chaos.
Ma'am,
That's chaos.
do you have any other questions?
I do, Your Honor.
Because it's chaos.
Ma'am?
Sir, chaos.
Can we take a break? Your Honor, can we take a break for a few minutes?
Any other questions?
Ma'am, since this tragic incident has occurred, how many nights has Mr. Raymond spent at the hospital with your family?
I haven't seen him.
What would that have to do?
I haven't seen him.
Excuse me.
And Judge, if I would like,
Please be quiet.
if I can respond, Your Honor, in opening, opposing counsel has portrayed Mr. Raymond as the most perfect father we've ever seen in this courtroom. And I want to bring up that it's not consistent. I believe that he opened the door by saying that in opening, and my client can address, if he is so hands-on and he is so day-to-day, where has he been at night when his son has been in the hospital? That's all I want to know. And Mr. Mayu is the one who opened the door.
Okay.
Miss Raymond, how many nights have you spent at the hospital with your son?
I've been there since 4 o'clock, 3:50 the day of the accident, and I left this morning at 9:45. I've not left the hospital ever.
And Miss Raymond, I know this is very difficult, but this,
This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
All right, step down, man.
Thank you.
Step down.
Judge, if I can ask her just one more question.
No. Continue your examination later. You have another witness you want to present?
Just one moment. Judge, we would call Aunt Raina. I'm not sure of her last name.
Look up, ma'am. Please raise your right hand. You swear to what firm? This testimony about his court today, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth that you got? Yes. Please proceed. Put the chair up, please. State your name for the court and please spell it for me.
Raina, R-E-N-A, Oden, O-D-E-N.
Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Angela Kinley. I represent Miss Raymond. Who all was at the home on Monday afternoon when little Usher fell in the pool?
Myself, Mary Dawn, the housekeeper, Rosa, the housekeeper, and some guys that was working in the basement.
Okay. And do you have any CPR training yourself?
Yes, I do.
When were you licensed?
I don't have a license, but I know CPR.
Where did you receive your training?
From my mother, which is a registered nurse. It's been years ago.
You have any? When's the last time you had an update?
I haven't, because I know CPR.
Is there a reason why you didn't perform CPR on little Usher?
No, it's not. I was trying to get help. I jumped into the water and I was trying to get him and I couldn't get him. I got out the pool, I ran in the house, fell down the steps in the process to get help downstairs in the garage where the people were working, and they came up to help me. And I got on the phone with 911.
And when you ran down to the basement, the housekeeper went with you, didn't she?
I didn't hear you.
When you ran into the basement, was the housekeeper with you?
Yes, she ran behind me.
Okay, so the two of you were in the basement. Who was outside of the pool?
I don't remember. I don't recall.
Would it be fair to say that since we've accounted for you and the housekeeper and the two men, no one was at the pool?
I can't recall.
Okay. Where was Naveed at that time?
The housekeeper had Naveed.
He was in the basement with the two of you?
She had him, as far as I know, yes.
Did you actually see him?
I didn't see him.
Was he out by the pool?
No,
Do you know that for sure?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so when you were left to supervise the children, what were you doing while they were playing near the pool?
I was sitting right there next to the pool.
And so can you explain to me the circumstances that led up to little Usher being trapped in the drain?
As far as I know, the Usher and Naveed was playing with a toy, and I noticed Usher went down in the pool. I noticed he didn't come back up. I went to the side of the pool. I looked. I saw he was in trouble. I jumped in the pool immediately to rescue him. I couldn't get him, so I got out the pool. That's when I went into the house and I was yelling and screaming for help. I fell down the steps trying to get help, and I got to the garage to get help, and I was telling the men what was going on, and they ran up there and they immediately helped me.
On the 911 tape, we hear you asking what's going on. Is he breathing? Where did you make the call from?
I was in the kitchen.
Do you have a cell phone?
I do.
Where was that?
I don't even remember where my cell phone was.
Okay. Why do we hear you yell at Naveed so many times?
Because I was trying to get Naveed to sit down.
Where was he?
He was walking, he was around in the kitchen.
Was he doing anything?
He was hollering and screaming. That's when I was trying to get him calmed down.
Okay. But he just witnessed his brother at the bottom of the pool?
Yes, he did.
Okay. What type of Social Security disability benefits do you receive?
It's for my...
What types of benefits does she receive? Perhaps what her condition is?
I think you want to know if she's subject to any disability.
Ma'am, are you disabled as far as the federal government is concerned? Is anyone labeled you as a disabled individual?
Yes.
For what?
For my back.
And how long, when were you injured?
2007.
When's the last time you worked outside of Mr. Raymond's employ?
I haven't worked since about 2007 or 8.
Okay. And are you able to lift things over 20 pounds?
Sometime. It just depends how my back is feeling.
Okay. Do you know what your actual injury is?
I'm not quite sure.
Are you able to run around?
Yes,
Do you exercise regularly?
I do.
What types of things do you do?
I walk a lot.
Okay. Would you describe the two little boys as being high energy?
Yes.
Okay. Does your injury limit your ability to keep up with them when they're running around?
No.
So do you typically play with them, chase them around the house?
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain to me why someone would say that your clothes were not wet when they saw you at the house?
I had changed my clothes because I was soaking wet.
When did you change?
Right after I knew I had to go up to the hospital.
Was that before or after EMS left?
EMS was still there.
And where were the contractors?
I'm not sure.
Does Miss Raymond have your cell phone number?
Yes, she does.
Has it changed recently?
No, it hasn't.
How much time would you say in an average week do you spend with the children when they're not with Miss Raymond?
When Dad has them on his parenting time.
And how much of that are you basically the primary caregiver?
I'm just there because Dad is most of the time there with them.
What's most of the time?
The majority of the time he's always there with them. I'm just there because that's my nephews and I'm their aunt. And I'm welcome there at any time.
Do you live at the house?
No, I don't.
Okay. So you drive down just to spend time with them?
Yes, I do.
Because you live in Chattanooga, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. In the past week, were the children with you and Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
Okay. How many days of that week were Mr. Raymond in the home?
Every time, all day, the whole time.
He was there every day?
Most of the time, he's there with us.
Has Mr. Raymond discussed with you his fall schedule?
No.
What is your understanding of your role, let's say, for the next 3 or 4 weeks with the children?
I'm their aunt, and I love them, and I'm always there to see them whenever I can.
Okay, during the day, who bathes the children?
Who bathes them? I do, and Dad do too.
Okay. How often, let's let that go. Is there anyone else in the home that assists you with these two young boys? If Mr. Raymond's not in town and the children are with you, is there anyone else in the home that helps you?
Yes, their grandmother comes over.
Their grandmother? What's her
Yes,
name?
Miss Patton.
How old is she?
I don't know.
Is it your mother?
It's Usher's mother.
Usher's mother.
Their grandmother.
What about the great-grandmother?
My mother, yes, she comes sometime.
Okay. When is the last time there was a nanny in the home with any kind of certified training to be a nanny?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I have seen the nannies and everything, but I don't know what kind of, credentials they have. I'm not sure.
Okay. When's the last time you saw a nanny?
I'm not sure.
Do you have any training in early childhood development?
No, I don't, because I have a 20-year-old son that I raised.
Okay.
I was a single parent.
Okay. And do you have any training in first aid?
I know how to take care of children.
Okay. Now, with the swimming pool and you being there to help with your nephews, as you said, what discussions did you and Mr. Raymond have as far as safety precautions for the pool?
I always stay right there to watch them, to make sure everything is going okay.
Okay. Do you know how to swim?
Yes, I do.
Does your back injury limit your swimming?
No, that's part of my therapy when I do go to therapy.
What kind of therapy do you do?
Water therapy.
Water aerobics?
Water therapy.
Okay, what is that?
At like physical therapy, when I go to physical therapy, sometimes I do have to go. I have to swim, and it's for exercises for my back.
Okay. Just one moment, Your Honor. Ma'am, are you compensated by Mr. Raymond?
How would that bear on this emergency? It's not part of the emergency. What else you know?
To your knowledge, where was Mr. Raymond on Monday?
He went to a rehearsal.
A rehearsal? Where was that?
About 5 minutes away from the home.
Was it his office?
I believe, I'm not really sure, but it was 5 minutes away from the home.
What time did he go there?
I'm not sure of the time.
Do you know what time? Where was he on Sunday?
He was at the home with us.
Okay. And did the boys spend the weekend at the home?
Yes.
From Friday to Sunday?
The days are different. It's it's not like a weekend. It's like he have a week at a time with them.
I know, I'm just asking you, from Friday to Sunday, were they there?
Yes.
Okay. Just a few more questions. Ma'am, to your knowledge, did Naveed jump in the pool?
Yes, he did.
How did he get out?
He got out on his own.
Okay. And at the time that EMS left the house, was Mr. Raymond there?
Mr. Raymond was with Usher at the time.
And did he ride in the ambulance?
I'm not sure because I wasn't outside.
Okay. Well, did you see him leave the home separately?
I'm not sure.
Who was in the home when you left?
It was me and Naveed.
Okay. And did you take Naveed to the hospital?
I did.
Okay. Did you go anywhere else in between?
No, I didn't.
No other questions, Ron?
Any questions?
Miss Oden, how long have you cared for those boys?
Most of their life.
Okay. And you cared for those boys back when Mr. Raymond was married to Mrs. Raymond, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
And you've even cared for those boys when Mrs. Raymond's had them without Mr. Raymond being there, haven't you?
Yes.
She ever complained about your qualifications to care for those boys?
No, she has not.
You were watching the boys very carefully that day, weren't you?
Yes, I do, as always, all the time.
Thank you.
Ma'am, when was the last time that you actually saw Mr. Raymond before this accident occurred? 5 minutes, 2 hours, 4 hours? Do you have any idea?
Within 45 minutes.
He'd only been gone about 45 minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
You can step down. Anything else? You want to put your client back on the stand? As I recall, you have a few more questions.
Actually, I have one, Your Honor.
Please be advised, name is still no.
Pardon? Actually,
Just one.
just, go ahead.
Ma'am, since August 5th at 4 o'clock, how many nights has Mr. Raymond spent in the hospital?
I haven't seen him.
In the room?
He's never stayed in the room.
No other questions, Your Honor?
Your witness.
Yeah.
So again, you need to.
Ms. Raymond, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Did you review carefully this petition for this emergency before it was filed?
I did not. I was in the hospital with my son.
Did you even bother to look at it?
I looked at it, yes.
Did you bother to point out any of the inaccuracies of it?
No, I did not.
Let me hand you now, okay, copy. Let me hand you now our exhibit number 1. Let me direct your attention, ma'am, if I might, to paragraph 3 on the second page at the top. You see that?
Yes.
It alleges that Usher V was left unsupervised in a swimming pool at petitioner's home. Do you see that?
Yes.
And you know that to be false, don't you?
I do not know that to be false. My son was underwater for more than, well, I was told 30 seconds by his aunt.
Your Honor, I object. I think she's already stated that she was not present at the time of the accident.
Go ahead.
Aunt Raina was there supervising.
I cannot verify that she was supervising.
Because you don't know, you weren't there.
Well, he was underwater for 3 minutes.
But you don't know because you weren't there, correct?
All right. He was
Okay.
underwater for 3 minutes.
And, in fact, the very police report finds that Aunt Raina was there supervising, doesn't it? You read the police report?
That's who they were left with. No, I have not.
Okay.
You don't object to
And
the
then-
police report coming in or anything that's in it as that's hearsay. Several layers of hearsay. We don't know who reported it to the
What
police.
question has been asked to answer?
I would just object to any further questioning about the police report.
Moving on. And then you allege that Mr. Raymond was out of town in the next paragraph. You see that?
Okay.
And that's false as well, isn't it?
I don't know that it's false because oftentimes when the kids are with the caregivers, he's usually not here. He lives in Los Angeles or LA primarily.
Ms. Raymond, you do not know of your own knowledge, and you signed an affidavit witnessed by your own lawyer. You don't know from your own knowledge that Mr. Usher Raymond was out of town at the time this accident occurred, do you?
No, I do not.
Okay. You don't really know who was at the pool that day, correct?
Well, I was told he was at the pool by him, but it was none of his village that he mentioned.
Okay. You don't know whether Aunt Raina was properly supervising the children that day, do you?
How do I answer that?
Yes or no, and then you can explain.
Okay, so no.
Okay.
However, if Aunt Rena had to go into the basement while two of my children were in the pool, one is trapped under at the bottom of the pool with his arm stuck in a drain hole, while there's time for a nanny to run down the stairs, or for herself, not the nanny, that's not what she's called, the aunt to run downstairs to get two AV workers who were working, and then the housekeepers followed them, but she just said that Naveed jumped in the pool. The story does not make sense. So there was some lack of supervision. Where was Naveed? We don't know.
You don't really know what happened.
I don't.
Correct?
I don't, and that's why we're here.
And you understand that Rena was sitting directly poolside while the boys were playing?
That's what she testified. I don't.
You don't have any evidence to the contrary, do you?
Well, but he was on the
Do you?
water.
Excuse me. I want you to tell me whether you do or whether you don't, and then you can explain.
He was in the pool for
You
3
don't
minutes.
have, excuse me, ma'am. You ready? You don't have any evidence that she wasn't sitting right by the pool when this happened, do you?
I do not.
Okay.
How,
And the good news here is your son was rescued, correct?
that's the best news.
Okay. And you don't know whether Aunt Rena dove into that pool to try to rescue him, do you?
I do not.
Do you know whether Ben, who was at the home, tried to rescue him?
I don't know the big news, but
Okay.
okay.
Do you know whether Eugene, who was at the home at the time, tried to rescue him?
That's what I've been told.
Do you know if they immediately performed CPR on your son as soon as he was brought out of the pool?
That's what I was told.
And you certainly don't criticize Aunt Rena for running to the phone to call 911 immediately after the child was pulled out of the pool. You don't criticize her for that, do you?
I do not.
Okay.
But can I explain?
You can explain any answer
Okay.
that you give today.
I do not think it was wrong of her to call 911, but that was a lengthy phone call while we don't know where the other kids are. One's running around the kitchen, the other one, I can't see anything is the quote that I heard. If she's CPR trained as she testified, then I would think that she would have immediately wanted to be hands-on with that. Why didn't the housekeeper call 911?
Even though the men pulled him out and they were performing CPR, you think she should have not called 911? Is that your testimony?
She should have called 911, yes.
Thank you. And you understand that Mr. Raymond was home within 5 minutes of this incident, do you not?
No, I do not.
Because you don't know, do you?
I want to know where you can drive in 5 minutes in Atlanta.
Do you know whether he was there within 5 minutes or not, Mrs. Raymond?
No, I don't.
Thank you.
5 minutes.
And you would even agree, would you not, that the incident that occurred at the home was an accident?
Definitely.
And without going into the custody trial, which I know we don't want to, you would at least concede, would you not, that Usher V has been hurt physically while in your care?
While in my care? No.
Yes, ma'am.
No, that's not true.
You don't remember, and I've got your deposition right here.
And Your Honor, I'm
You
going to
don't-
object since we're sticking to time frames.
Yeah, because he's never been hurt in my care. Never.
Okay. Okay. Would you agree with me that the only new allegation in this emergency petition is this pool accident?
My son's near-death experience, that's definitely, yes.
Thank you. You understand, I'm sorry, strike that. You're not happy with the August 24th custody order, are you?
No, I never thought it was a fair ruling.
Thank you.
Very briefly, Your Honor. Ma'am, did Mr. Raymond tell you if there's a video of this incident?
He did say there's a video, that he has watched the video. I asked for it.
Has he allowed you to see it?
No, he has not.
Okay. And can we clarify that Mr. Raymond said, and you've learned, that Aunt Raina did not rescue these boys?
Aunt Raina did not rescue them, no.
Do you have a criticism of someone leaving your child unattended even if he is underwater?
I have an issue with you leaving the scene to run down in a basement, so that means both kids were in the water.
And both women left, to your knowledge?
And both women ran down the stairs, but one had Naveed, so it was Naveed running down the stairs as well. It's very, very murky. The information is very convoluted.
Okay, and Mr. Mayu said that the only new thing is this pool accident, but that's not true, is it?
Excuse me.
Well,
Excuse me.
oh,
I asked her that question on cross-examination, and now she's suggesting an answer to her on her direct examination. That's highly improper.
I can rephrase.
Please don't. She's been examined on direct and on cross, and we have answers. What you're going to do is ask her to repeat testimony she said on direct, so please move on.
Are you familiar with Mr. Raymond's neighborhood where he lives?
no, I'm not.
Have you ever been to the house?
Never been to the house.
Do you have any idea how far... Well, where did Mr. Raymond tell you he was when this happened?
He told me that he was at Silent Sound Studio with Mark Pitts.
Do you know where that is?
It's not 5 minutes from that address. No, it is not. He told me that's where he was.
Okay, and he told you that on Monday
He
after the
told me that
accident?
at the hospital.
Okay. Other questions, Ron?
Just hit one.
Can you appreciate, Ms. Raymond, that if Aunt Raina had run down to the basement to get those men to pull your son out, that he might not have survived?
I can appreciate that.
Thank you.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
You can sit there. Anything else?
Yeah, just Mr. Raymond for cross.
We're well over the suggested time. Yes.
I believe the case should be dismissed, but I'm certainly willing to hold on. We have an incredible burden, Your Honor.
I understand. For your witness, briefly.
Your Honor, I'll call Mr. Usher in on the 14th stand for cross.
You raise your right hand. You swear or affirm that the testimony about to give this court to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth of the God. Please be seated. The chair, please. State your name for the court and please spell it for me.
Usher, U-S-H-E-R, Raymond, R-A-Y-M-O-N-D, Roman numeral, I-V, 4.
Good afternoon, Mr. Raymond.
Hello.
Can you tell me where you were on Monday afternoon when little Usher suffered his accident?
On the afternoon of the incident, I was at the studio,
Okay, what's the name of the studio?
Silent Sound Studio.
Okay, and about what time did you get there that day?
I'm not exactly sure of the exact time that I arrived.
Would you say it was an hour, 2 hours, maybe before or after lunch? Do you know?
For the incident or after lunch?
When you arrived, was it before or after lunch? Do you have any idea?
When I arrived at the studio?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When I arrived at the studio, I think it was 2:30.
Okay. And the incident occurred around 2:44, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And can you tell me why you didn't call Miss Raymond until 3:27 that day?
I'm not sure that that's the exact time that I called. But the first thing to do was to respond to the emergency. As I knew I was only one exit from my home, at which point I went straight there to assess what really had happened. When I arrived, my son was hysterical, and in the back of the ambulance I knew that there had been an incident in the pool, but I didn't have clarity of exactly what took place. When I got in the back of the ambulance, he was hysterical. He didn't want to go to the hospital. He was very irate, and I did my best to calm him down and help him understand what had taken place. After I got him calm, as he just wanted me to put a Band-Aid on it, and he didn't want to go to the hospital as he stated. But once we got him there and we checked him in, they began to do an assessment. I still did not have a clear understanding of all the things that had taken place. I was just reacting as any father would out of concern, as I didn't suspect that he was in grave danger because, one, how he was acting, two, I hadn't had the opportunity to speak to anyone else. I just reacted instantly to come to his assistance. When I arrived at the hospital, and I spoke with the individuals who were assisting him. They did a series of tests, prodding, touching him, asking him questions, taking blood pressure,
And that's fine.
so on and so forth. And unfortunately, I still didn't have an idea of what was going on. Once I did and understood that this was severe, I then took a moment while in the room to call Mrs. Raymond.
Okay, so let me ask you this. You called Miss Raymond, from the hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't call from the ambulance?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Okay, and when you did call, you told her that he had a cut on his arm.
Actually, that's not exactly what I said. What I said is that I wanted her to understand that I did not have full information of what took place, as I still didn't understand the severity of the incident, but I wanted her to remain calm, as I knew any reaction to her would cause her to be hysterical.
Okay, so let me ask you this, though. At the time that you called her, you already stated that they had run some tests. Is that correct?
They were prodding him. I don't know how accurate you could say that they were actual tests. Again,
They were doing some evaluations.
they were doing some evaluations. The individuals in the back of the ambulance were informing me as well of what took place. I saw that he was gasping for breath, so I known that he probably took in a fair amount of water, and the best thing for him to do would be to go to the emergency room and have them make an assessment.
Sure, absolutely. And you didn't tell Miss Raymond that she needed to hurry to the hospital, did you?
I told her that as of right now, Usher's fine, that there had been an incident in the pool, and he's breathing, he's fine, he's up, he's a little hysterical, but you should get here. We're at the hospital. And she informed me that she was having a root canal at the time. I said, you should definitely get here, but
And she did arrive after that, right?
I'm
She
sorry.
arrived pretty shortly after that?
She arrived shortly after that, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And when you received the call about little Usher, who called you?
When I received the call about little Usher, I had gotten a call from my manager, Grace Miguel, as she had received word that Usher had been had an accident, and that he was headed to the hospital, and that I should meet them there. Of course, I made her know that I was only one exit away from the house, so I would meet them there, as opposed to him, going to the hospital and meeting them there. I got in my car and came immediately.
Okay, so did Aunt Raina or somebody else call Miss Miguel and tell her?
Aunt Raina had reached out to myself as well as Mrs. Miguel.
Okay, but the first call you got was from Miss Miguel?
When I really found out what had taken place.
What I'm saying is when the first call you got that says, hey, something happened to little Usher, who did that come from?
The first call that came to my phone was Raina Oden, my aunt.
Okay, so it wasn't necessarily true that the first call was from Miss Miguel?
No, when I first understood what took place, you asked me when I had knowledge of what had taken place.
Okay, so what did Aunt Raina tell you?
Aunt Raina, unfortunately, had called, and my phone went to voicemail. The next call immediately after that was Mrs. Grace Miguel. As I said, I got a full understanding of what took place.
So you didn't speak to Aunt Raina?
I did not speak to Aunt Raina immediately.
Okay. So Grace Miguel, is it your understanding she got a call from Aunt Raina, or she was at your house when this happened?
She was at the house. Who was at the house? I'm sorry, Aunt Raina was at the house.
Okay, Miss Miguel though?
I'm not sure if she was at the house.
Okay, when you arrived at the home, was she there?
Yes, she was.
Okay, and did anyone tell you when you were driving to the home that someone was performing CPR on the child?
It was very cloudy. I couldn't 100% make out what was going on. I just felt like the most important part would be for me to get there as quick as possible to make an assessment on my own. I'm trying to listen, to the phone, finding if there's a message, maybe there's a quick message, a button I could push on my phone in the event that I miss a call. I'm trying to listen to that, listen to her. I just basically said I'm on my way home and came immediately.
Okay, and so from about 2:44 to, we'll say, 3:30, somewhere around there, it didn't cross your mind to call Miss Raymond, did it?
It did not cross my mind to call her, as I didn't know what I would tell her, as I still did not know exactly what had taken place, and I wanted to know for myself.
How about there's been an accident in the pool? Would that have been appropriate to tell the mother?
As I did tell her when I actually got on the phone, because at that point I knew.
About an hour later, though?
I can't say that it was an hour later.
You didn't call her immediately, though, did you?
I called her immediately when I knew.
Let's move on.
Okay. Mr. Raymond, you say you're renting this home. Is that what your attorney said earlier?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you just recently moved in, right, a few months ago?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The pool, have you been in it yourself?
Yes, I have.
Did you ever notice anything about the drain?
What do you mean, did I notice anything about the drain?
Anything out of the ordinary compared to other pools you may have been in at either your prior residences or, other friends, family members that have pools?
I had no reason to suspect that something was wrong with the pool.
Okay.
As I have the pool serviced every month, twice a month actually, and I had never been made aware that there was an issue with the pool.
When it's serviced, does that mean that they are fixing the chemical balance in the pool? Are they cleaning the pool? Are they inspecting the pool for safety issues? What does the company do?
There's an array of things that the company does to inspect the pool, to make sure that the filters are properly working, that it's functioning, that the chemical levels are proper inside of the pool, and I never received notice that there was anything wrong with the pool.
Have you had any kind of home inspection done or anything on the home or the pool?
Not a formal inspection, no.
Okay. And you've had pools at your previous homes, is that right?
Yes. I've had pools at my previous homes, the one that I lived in when I was married to Mrs. Raymond, as well as the home that I live in now, as well as the one I lived in before.
Okay. So it's safe to say you're familiar with pool safety? For
to
children?
To some extent, yes.
Okay. Can you explain to me any conversations you've had with the children about safety in and around a pool?
Well, the children when anywhere, not just the pool, have an understanding that when their names are called, that they stop, look, and listen, be it inside of the house, be it in public. There's an array of different things that I attempt to do with my kids to work on their behavior. However, they are 4 and 5, and children will be children, but that is part of rearing the kids. In terms of the pool specifically, not to run around the pool is one. Never to jump in the pool unless an adult is there, as there never is, because there's always someone either 2 steps behind or absolutely right there or inside of the pool with the kids.
Okay. Does anyone who is providing supervision for your children have any CPR training, any formal CPR training?
When you say formal CPR training...
Like through the Red Cross or any of those organizations?
I understand. Formal CPR training, I myself have had formal training. Every nanny that I have hired has had CPR training, as well as I was aware that Aunt Raina Odin was capable of performing CPR.
When is the last time you employed a nanny?
The last time that I employed a nanny, I still employ a nanny.
Who's that?
Well, the nanny that Tameka knows of, Bridget, we had a conversation about the fact that she no longer works with me, and Andrea, who is actually currently under leave because she has a torn retina and has been out on leave.
When was the last time she actually worked in the home with the children?
It's been about, I'd say about 2 months.
Okay. So about the beginning of summer?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any discussions with Aunt Raina or anyone else about what the plan would be if there was an emergency in the pool?
If there's an emergency in the pool, if there's an emergency outside of the pool, yes. The first thing that she used to do is contact myself or either dial 911 if it's an extreme emergency.
Where's the closest phone to the pool, do you know?
The closest phone, well, let me state this. Everyone that is around the children has a cell phone that's on their person, or either there is a phone in every room in the house.
Okay. Did Aunt Raina tell you why she didn't have the cell phone with her?
I never asked her if she had a cell phone with her. I know that she has a cell phone because I contact her with it. She speaks with me frequently throughout the day whenever there's times when I'm not able to be there with the children due to my working. She's giving me an update through text or either calling.
Okay. And when she called you, do you remember if it was from the home phone or from her cell phone?
I do not remember it. This has been an odd whirlwind. I actually have not returned a lot of calls at all. I have not went through or verified exact times of Raina calling or anyone calling.
Did you hear her testify earlier that she did not have her cell phone with her?
Yes, I did.
Is that acceptable to you for a caregiver for your children to not have a cell phone on her person?
Well, you didn't ask her in your testimony if she had it on her person. You said if she had it around her. And I think that if it wasn't in her pocket, it may have been on the table which she sits at. There's a chair that she sits at near the table there, or it could have potentially been in her pocket when she jumped in the pool. I know that she didn't call me on her cell phone.
That she did not or did? I'm sorry, I didn't
I know
hear
that
you.
she did not call me directly from her cell phone.
Now, did you hear your attorney say earlier that you don't have any nannies?
Actually, I'm sorry. You know what? Let me retract that. I do recall when I saw that she called. It had her name came up on the caller ID, so it was her cell phone. I'm sorry.
Okay. Because when I asked her earlier, I asked, why was she calling from inside the house? Because as you heard on the 911 call, she's clearly inside the home, right? She's asking what's going on outside. So do you think that that is a safe environment to have anybody out at the pool without a cell phone?
To my knowledge, she was not necessarily in the house the entire time. She was around the pool monitoring Usher's recovery. Everyone was in disarray.
But you'll agree that she had to go inside to make that call, correct?
I will not agree that she spent all of the time inside of the house making the call. I know that she, to my knowledge, she had been inside and outside monitoring Usher to see, whether he was making progress. As I understand, she was speaking to 911 and they were asking of his condition, as well as the fact that she was monitoring if the ambulance had showed up.
But you'll agree that she was yelling to other people. Okay. Have you ever informed Miss Raymond that the nannies don't work for you anymore?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
When was that?
On several occasions. Just actually most recently in the hospital.
So that was in person?
It was in person.
Okay, how about before this incident?
Before this incident, we had a conversation during therapy about nannies or care, and also we had conversations about who was caring for the children, that she assumed that the nanny would pick the children up, and I had informed her that Raina was basically doing the pickups at the time, and that the nannies were not actively working.
Okay, and was that done by email or telephone?
That was done in person and also by phone.
Okay. Now, going forward, you have plans to go to Panama to film a movie, is that right?
Pretty far afield, Your Honor, from the current emergency.
Well, Judge, the emergency is...
Situation. Unless,
And Judge, if I can respond to that, I think the emergency is who will be caring for the children in the next however many days if he's going to be leaving the country.
Thank you.
Mr. Raymond, can you tell me what your schedule is like for the remainder of August, as far as you being in Atlanta?
For the remainder of August, I'm to be here.
Every day?
Yes.
Okay, and how often do you update Miss Raymond on your schedule, your whereabouts, your travel plans?
I don't update Mrs. Raymond on my schedule, but I update her on the schedule of the children, as it is mandatory that I do so. On a weekly basis, every Sunday, I send her a weekly activities or communications email. It's subject titled Weekly Activities, notifying her of any doctor's visits, anything that I plan to do with the kids, them going to school, them heading over summer camp. Any information is pertinent to their activities or where they will be. In the event that I'm traveling out of state, which I haven't, other than one occasion when I took them to New York City, at the bottom of every weekend activity update and subject title of a weekly activity, I put the hotel information as well as the alias that we are booked under at the hotel.
Okay, and
And as well as the fact that I make her aware that she can contact the children at any moment on my cell phone or either any of the people who will be there with them at the time. That being my mother, Raina, or either the nannies.
And the emails that you referenced, those are you telling Miss Raymond what decisions you've made for the children, is that right?
During my parenting time, yes.
Do you send her ones during her parenting time, telling her what she's going to be doing?
No, I actually consult with her, and a lot of times she's objected to it. However, I still give her the benefit of having an entire schedule, and I use my best judgment of what she's going to do with the time as they were active over the summer. For instance, the kids go to circus camp, and they also go to swim camp this year, as I made it very important. I made it known to her that it was important they work on that swimming.
I
how does this pertain to the emergency you think is just with respect to the current care being provided to the kids?
Your Honor, our contention is that the emergency is that Miss Raymond is not informed. She's not allowed to participate in the boys' daily lives. She does not know who's caring for them, which is what's causing a dangerous situation. She doesn't know who is with her children. She's not allowed to participate in any decisions, and this email would demonstrate that she is not allowed to participate in decisions. She is told what she's going to do.
That's not the emergency.
That's fine, Your Honor.
That may deal with the larger issue regarding custody in the future, but it is certainly not an emergency.
Mr. Raymond, do you ever tell Miss Raymond if you're going to be out of town and it's your parenting time and the children will be with anyone else?
Yes, I do.
How do you inform her of that?
I'm sorry, during my parenting time, do I inform her?
That you will not be in Atlanta and the boys will be with someone.
Well, part of our arrangement provides that when I'm not with the children, the caretakers, would be of my, what I call the village, would be my grandmother, my Aunt Raina, my grandmother, or either their two nannies at the time.
But my question is, do you ever tell Miss Raymond who is actually watching the children?
Yes, on occasion, we may have that conversation, during the time that she has to speak with them, or either within the conversation that we have leading up to departure.
But you just told me earlier that you don't update her regarding your travel plans, so she doesn't know if the kids are with you.
I said I don't update her of my travel plans. I do update her of the children's travel plans.
Yes, and that's what I said. You do not update Miss Raymond on your travel plans. So she does not know when you're here and when you're not here. Is that correct?
Again, this is not an emergency.
Well, the emergency judge is that she...
No, ma'am. An emergency means life and death. It means these kids are in danger and they need to be somewhere else. The fact that your client doesn't get communications from time to time from Mr. Raymond is not an emergency. It just is not an emergency. As I said, there may be a time when that will be relevant in the future with respect to the larger issue as to whether or not custody should be permanently changed. But it certainly has no bearing on the emergency. So please, if you've got something that relates to an emergency condition, address it. If not, please end your conversation.
If I can just have one moment, Your Honor. No other questions this time, Your Honor.
Anything further from your team, ma'am? Anything further? No.
Your Honor, I move at this time that the emergency motion be dismissed.
Anything you want to say in response?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I think, Your Honor, there are several things that have been brought to light here. The first is that it's an emergency because there's been inconsistent parenting time, which would be resolved if Ms. Raymond had greater parenting time with the kids. What we're hearing is that there was an attractive nuisance situation created by the father, which was the pool. Apparently, and we still aren't clear when he testified on the stand 5 days later about what happened, but we do know the child was in the hospital. Apparently, from what we gather, a child sitting supervised supposedly, open argument had that they were swimming. But the facts as they came out was that the child was supposedly swimming, he was 5 years old, jumped into 8 feet of water and was sucked down. And the brother tried to jump in to save the child. Testimony was that the caregivers were not able to get the child, even though they can supposedly swim and administer CPR, and they fall down steps trying to go get the AV people who come up and give CPR. The 911 tape, which was put in, shows that there was so much chaos and lack of parental authority or lack of adult authority, to where you have a 4-year-old who is told 10 to 12 times to come here and sit down and is not doing that. You have testimony about unsafe conditions where there was a gun that was laying around for 3 or 4 days, and this has all been within the last 6 months. You have testimony about the main caregiver who has a physical disability where they can't pick up.
There is no admissible testimony about that. You know that. You know that.
Well, that testimony...
You know that,
okay.
don't you? Don't you?
I'll move on from that then. Testimony was provided, though, about the physical disability and not being able to lift 20 pounds, and both of these kids are 5 and 4 years old, which are clearly greater than 20 pounds. So the situation was created where the father created an attractive nuisance that did not have the ability to be able to care for the kids when this happened. This simply happened because the kids dove into a pool and nobody could save them except the people that happened to be there doing some AV work downstairs. Remember now, the reason why this is an emergency, there's already been a water accident which was tragic to this family in which a child was lost. This is another water emergency not even a year later in which there was almost a child lost. And so the tape which notes the drowning, the information that you have received about there being a lack of communication, the information you received about there being a lack of understanding about the caregivers, the information that was just provided, and the reason why this is important, Your Honor, the last order that went out on the modification, in which Mr. Mayhew says that there have been several different orders, etc. The orders that have been filed, the last one says that it's significant that the mother has had a stream of 11 nannies, and the father's had one continuously for 18 months. The father's got to have that nanny, and that was a huge basis of what happened. Now it's in flux as to who the caregivers are, but the mother has had consistent parenting and a consistent support system that's in place. The situation has changed. So the emergency is, Your Honor, that why should a mother have to be in a situation where there could be the potential that kids could be in harm's way, which was clearly shown by the kids being in harm's way and being hurt. Because not one child, but both children jumped in. And so we argue that that's sufficient enough to show that there was need for an emergency action, and there's need for, as a safety measure, for Ms. Raymond to have greater parenting time. As a safety measure for her to have more parenting time, because why should it be third parties when it can be the mother who would be able to parent the children?
Anything you want to say?
No, Your Honor, I think you've heard the evidence.
What happened here was an awful accident. And I don't know, and based on the evidence I heard, I'm not certain that had any single person been at the poolside, that one person could have done any better than Miss Oden. And Miss Oden did, in fact, impress me as a very capable caregiver, and I would submit to you that your standards for caregivers are rather high. I think most of the people in this room have been cared for by a grandmother or an aunt or a neighbor. I don't think there's anything remarkable about that. And those people that cared for us or our kids probably didn't have all the certifications you seem to require for the kids in this case. So I'm denying or dismissing the motion. But I will say, Mr. Raymond, in the future, you would be well advised to keep your former spouse informed about your whereabouts and who is taking care of the kids. That will be a feature, perhaps, in this case as it moves forward, or the companion case as it moves forward. Understand?
May I prepare the order, Your Honor?
Yes, that'll be fine. All right, we'll be in recess.
Thank you, sir.
All right, man, that's it. Court's over. Thank you. Thank you. All right, man, clear the courtroom, everybody. Thank you. Have a good weekend. Clear the courtroom. Clear the courtroom. Thank you. 13, 19, 1300. 10, 136, 136.